So in two different reports I read, one said there were about 12 million Americans who are millionaires. Another one shared that there were like 22 million. But the bottom line is both said they're about 3%, which I thought was kind of interesting. And so that means that 97% of Americans aren't millionaires. And perhaps you're in that group and you're wondering, what can you do either to become a millionaire or maybe just to achieve some financial freedom so you don't have to worry about how you're going to afford to live during retirement. A lot of times people come to me and they want to know how to be a millionaire, how to be a multi-millionaire. And the first thing I want you to understand is that money is not the end game. Your life is. Creating the life of your dreams is. Money is just a byproduct or a means to allow you to do that. And I know it's easy to say when you don't have money, saying, oh, if I just had money. But the reality, we know from people who get inheritance, win the lottery, it's not about the money. You know, they'll get a huge amount of money in 3 to 5 years, they're broke. So it's not the issue of just getting more money. And hopefully you're going to get that from today. But what I want to teach you today are some wealth strategies, some insight, so that you can create some financial security and stability and ultimately live a richer and happier life. So let's dive in. I'm Annette Bau, and for over 30 years I've been advising and researching the top 1% and 2% of millionaires to learn what millionaires with amazing lives do differently. And now I'm providing you practical, easy to implement insight so that you can create a financially free life you love. So let's dive into how to become a millionaire. Before we dive in, please click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified of future episodes. All materials and intellectual property are copywritten by themillionaireseries.com. The information we provide is not intended to replace any specialist or expert in the areas of investment, financial, tax, retirement, or any planning or healthcare advice. You've got to get your own advice. And you agree to hold millionaireseries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. So let's dive in. For today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/1013. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. So the first thing you've got to learn how to do if you want to be a millionaire is you've got to learn how to manage your cash flow. Now that seems pretty simple, right? And yet that's where most people have a challenge. Now this is what I want you to get. You cannot go into social media and not see somebody bragging about how much money they make, right? It's like, I'm always like, I don't really care how much money you make. How much money are you saving? So you see the little subtle difference? Everyone's focused on how much money they make. But once you look and say, okay, this person's making X amount, and I'm going to give you a specific example. So one of my peers who is a multimillionaire and a great guy, he was in a mastermind and he watched this guy on stage share how he was making $10 million a year. I mean, okay guys, that's a lot of money, $10 million a year. He then got into the round table where my friend was and he goes, yeah, the only problem is I'm spending $11 million. Didn't mention that up on stage. Now this is what I want you to get clear on. If you're making 10 million and you're spending 11 million, that means you're losing $1 million a year. That's not where you want to go. And a lot of times you get people who are making a lot of money, but they're spending so much that if they have a downturn in the market or something happens, it could be catastrophic. So don't let that be you. The goal is to increase our net worth. And that begins by first earning money and then saving money. And we've got to be earning money to where we're profitable, meaning we've got more that we're earning than that's going out in expenses. Absolutely critical and something a lot of people miss, even millionaires miss. So if you want to download our free resource, you can go to millionaireseries.com/WL guide. This is our wealthy life formula, and it walks you step by step through the 3 key components you have to not only achieve financial freedom, but live a wealthy life. It's my life's work. The next step to becoming a millionaire is you don't want to increase your expenses when you get a raise. Now this seems counterintuitive, right? We just got a raise, let's go on a vacation. Most people, kind of like the 97% that aren't millionaires, think that whenever they get a raise or an inflow of money, oh, we get to go buy something or go spend it. Interestingly enough, that's not what millionaires do. The vast majority of people who not only are millionaires and multimillionaires, but will remain that, know that when they get more money, they get it working for them. They invest it. So now you've invested it. Now you're going to have the cash flow that comes from that money. That's okay. They're not taking the chicken. You know, they're taking the eggs from the chicken. You know, anyone that's heard that story knows what I'm talking about. You know, there's one group of people that, you know, they're getting all these golden eggs and they're like, this is great, this is great. And then there's somebody else that's like, why don't we just kill the chicken and get all the eggs? They kill the chicken and there's no eggs and there's no more. That's what we got to do with our money. We got to invest the money in something that generates income if you need it, and then you can take the income, but you don't take the lump sum. If you don't need it, then invest it so that it can continue to grow. That's how you become wealthy. The next step is you got to start saving early in life. Now, for some of you that say, oh my gosh, I haven't started saving. The best day to start saving is yesterday. The second best is right now. Regardless of your age, regardless of your situation, regardless of your circumstance, if you need to downsize your lifestyle, your home, now's the time to do it. The reality of it is that most people, if they're in a situation where they're not making enough money, they're thinking, okay, I just got to make more money. When they're not looking at, okay, well, what else can you do? Could you take in a roommate? I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but if you need to, that's something you should do. Possibly you're going to get a side job or a side hustle or something along those lines. That can work too. But, you know, one of the things that I always see is that some people say, well, I don't want to deal with my finances. I'm here to tell you, you're either going to deal with them now when you have a choice, or you're going to be forced to deal with them later in life when you don't have the ability to earn as much, you don't have the stamina, you may not even have the opportunity. And there's nothing about being in retirement broke that's fun. So you got to get clear on that. And then what you also have to do is you have to take advantage of compound interest, because what's really interesting when you invest is if you invest $10,000 and you earn 10%, at the end of the year, it's going to be worth $11,000, right? You've earned $1,000. But if you have compound interest, the following year, that's now going to be worth $12,100 because it's compounding on that extra $1,000. So there are a lot of examples about if you have a money and it doubles every day. Would you rather have $1 million up front or a penny that doubles every day for a month? Well, interestingly enough, a lot of people say, just give me $1 million, when in reality, after 28 days, that penny is now worth $1.34 million. Over $1 million. That's amazing, isn't it? But what we got to understand is we got to get our money working for us, and ideally taking advantage of compound interest. And then obviously, if you have access to a retirement plan or you have any type of income, you want to make sure that you're funding your retirement. That's so critical. And I recommend that you have a 50-50 blend. 50% is in retirement income, 50% is in after-tax dollars. So that when you get to a certain stage in life, you have the choice of where to take the money, and you're not forced to take extra money out of your retirement, or if, say for instance, something else comes up, you have the flexibility before you can take that money out. So ideally, a 50-50 blend is what I like to see. All right, the next thing is you've got to understand the difference between a P&L and a balance sheet. So let's just go back to the basics. So your P&L is a profit and loss, and it measures income and expenses, meaning what you bring in and then what goes out as far as expenses. What do you have to live on? If you have a mortgage, hopefully you're getting that paid off. You know, car insurance, utilities, all of those things, food, all of those are expenses. So what comes in, what goes out. Your balance sheet measures your net worth, and this is your assets less your liabilities, what you owe. So if your house is worth, say your house is worth $200,000, you owe $100,000, then your net worth would be $100,000. You add up all your assets and subtract the liabilities, and once this exceeds $1 million, you're a millionaire. And interestingly enough, a lot of people say they're millionaires when their assets exceed $1 million, but if you have a lot of liabilities, like let's say for instance you have everything equates to $2 million, but you have 1.5 worth of debt, I think that's cheating. But again, that's how some people do it. So I want you to be a millionaire without having to cheat. The next thing is you want to affirm your goals. So to achieve any goal, we've got to align our prefrontal cortex with our limbic brain. Otherwise, it's very difficult, if not impossible, because what happens is we have this great goal that we set from our prefrontal cortex, our rational brain, and our limbic brain saying absolutely not. So we got to get those two in alignment. There are various ways you can do that: visualization, habit, repetition. One of the things I want you to do is just start setting affirmative goals. I am, or I active verb, I am a millionaire. Or if you have a partner or a spouse, the name of your partner or spouse, and I achieve $1 million net worth, or partner or spouse, and my net worth is $1 million. What you want to be doing is affirming what you want. I am debt-free. Sarah and I are debt-free. James and I are debt-free. Whatever your partner's name is. Very powerful, very important. The next thing is to hire a professional. And I cannot stress this enough. A professional is going to help guide you to create a plan and help you stick to it. And I'm going to give you an example of Jane, and she shared that I could share this with you, but she had been trying to do it by herself, and she'd had some success, but what would happen is she'd have some success, and then she'd fall off. Kind of like a diet. You know, somebody tells you have to go on a diet. I don't know about you, but somebody tells me I have to go on a diet, and I want to eat everything in sight. Like, your focus becomes on eating. Same thing with money. You're told you can't spend money, and all you want to do is spend it. It's so fascinating how that happens. But what she had to do is she had to go down to the basics of how to create new habits. It takes 18 to 254 days to change a new habit, on average 66 days. So those first couple months can be challenging, and that's when you really need help. And then for a lot of people, it's a matter of staying on task and present as you go through the gyration. So just be aware of that. But whether you hire a financial advisor, meaning if you have money to invest or you need to purchase products of any type or you need a plan, you need an advisor. If you just need somebody to keep you on task and help you with some of the fundamentals, you could probably get a financial coach. The next thing is to create passive and residual income streams, and these are two of my favorite tools. Now, the issue with passive income is you have to have a lump sum amount. So you have to have a significant amount of money. So some people may not have that, but I do love that because once you give a company the money, an insurance company, then they give you an income stream for life, and I love passive income. But as far as residual income, that is something that anyone can do, and it allows you to create either a product, or maybe you're going to write a book, or something you have expertise on. You create it one time, and then you keep getting paid on it over and over again. In MillionaireSeries.com, we have several income streams. We've got books, we've got products, we've got a mastermind. It's amazing what you can do when you start using your expertise and really providing value to people. You create it once, and yeah, sometimes you have to tweak it and upgrade it, but you create it and you make money. My book, 7 Principles of Becoming a Millionaire for Life, I've been selling that for, probably 15 years. And I've tweaked it, I've updated it, but it's amazing. It's just something that continually sells and that I make money from. It's very powerful. The next one is a huge one. Do not get caught up keeping up with the Joneses. It's so easy to look around and believe that everyone is a multimillionaire, because if you look at most people from the outer side, it looks like they are, right? Like you're like, man, they are so wealthy. But I'm telling you, I'm the one that gets to see their balance sheet and their profit and loss. And I'll tell you, there's a lot fewer millionaires than people that look like they're millionaires. And their balance sheet and their profit and loss don't lie. They drive the new car. They go on the fun trips. They buy all the toys. Just don't get caught up in that trap, especially until you have significant wealth. The sooner you train yourself to, no, I don't need that toy. No, I don't have to have that. The sooner you're going to be on your journey to becoming a millionaire or to becoming financially free. Pay attention to the small expenses. Now, this is one thing I find fascinating. There are so many experts out there that say, don't worry about that. I have found that to actually be the exact opposite. Where I have seen the biggest gain with my clients is in the little things. It's the things that seem like no big deal, like going to Starbucks. But then what ends up happening is you go to Starbucks over and over again, and before you know it, you're spending like $7,000 a year. You start compounding interest, and it's like, it's catastrophic. So don't let that be you. The small things do matter, and they add up. The next thing is to consider creating a side hustle. Now, that kind of might sound like, oh, what's that? Well, it's something where you can generate revenue, and especially if you have a job, it gives you an option that if, oh my gosh, there's a pandemic and you get laid off, you have a choice. It gives you the option that if you do need additional revenue, it gives you the option that you now retire from your job and now you still need some supplemental income for a period of time. It just gives you options. It gives you flexibility and options. And I think the most important thing about creating a side hustle or a part-time job outside of your current one is to do something you really love, like you're really passionate about it. And what you have to do is then just do the research to find the angle of how you can make money. And what's fascinating, people make money on teaching people how to knit, on teaching people more about horses, about caring for animals. It's unbelievable the different options there are for making money. So don't discount that, and it's a great way for you to not only stay active, but also be doing something that really helps people. And it allows you to create a community, allows you to really use some of your expertise that you may or may not be using when you are working. So one of the things I want you to get about why I think it's important to create a side hustle or a part-time job is that for every $1 million you accumulate, you can generate about 3 to 4%. That's about $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Now some of you are going, oh my gosh, wait a minute. I mean, what am I going to do in retirement? That's why it's really important that you start saving early. But if you don't have enough money, meaning if you're like, I'm not going to have $3 million and that's what I need for my monthly income, what's really nice about creating a side hustle is for every $30,000, that's about $2,500 a month. Well, creating $2,500 a month in a side business is very doable. So if you say, okay, I don't have $3 million that I need, all right, I could actually generate $1.5 million, could be generating that income that would be generated from it, I could do in my side business. So it gives you other options. And as I mentioned, I've created a lot of different products, some on financial freedom, some on marketing. And once you create it, that revenue keeps coming in and it's fun. You know, it's really enjoyable and it changes people's lives. And whether you're teaching people how to knit, which is such a therapeutic tool, or you're teaching people how to make Afghans, or you're teaching people how to make quilts, whatever it may be, your expertise, I'm telling you, there's a market out there. You just got to do a little bit of research. All right, some tips to becoming a millionaire. The first thing you got to do is you got to get really clear on what you want, personally and professionally. Most people don't get clear, and that's why it's really difficult to become a millionaire, because they're always switching gears. You got to get clear. You got to simplify your life. Less is more. The more we can become minimalist, the better. You got to elevate your worth barometer. You can go to millionaireseries.com/episode 105, but your worth barometer is your belief in your self-esteem. And you know how I talked about saying money is not the solution, meaning everyone thinks money is the solution, but really what the solution is your worth barometer. Because your worth barometer allows you to show up and do what you need to do to have the discipline to not overspend. When you don't have a healthy worth barometer or you're operating below the grid, it's rare. So you got to master that. And the good news is that, you know, let's say you look at that and go, oh my gosh, I'm below the grid. I was for half of my life. Now, it's not that you can't have money when you're below the grid. You just cannot have money and an amazing life. So don't let that be you. Episode 105. And then you got to learn how to set goals. Set goals so you can achieve them. Episode 107. So if you go to millionaireseries.com/105 or millionaireseries.com/107, you can access that. And then last but not least, have fun. If I would do one thing differently, I would have had a little more fun on my journey. Like, I was so fun growing up, and then I got out of school, and I'm like, okay, I got to make money so I can become financially free, so I can be secure. And I'm like, I could have had a lot more fun. You can get to wherever you want to go, but enjoy the process. Having fun and enjoying the process is what it's all about. And I now make it a habit that I connect with my close friends every single month or every few weeks, and I schedule the time. And people are like, oh, I know you're so busy. It's like, this is ridiculous. No, I'm not too busy to spend time with my family or my close friends. And that's what we got to do. We got to set that time. Now, if you're an advisor or a consultant, you want to work with more affluent clients, you can go to millionaireseries.com/affluent to access our Affluent Women and Couples Masterclass. But that's a good one if you are an advisor or you are consulting with women or couples. I want to thank you so much for joining me for how to become a millionaire or multi-millionaire, whatever you want. If you go back and re-listen to those now that you've already got a few of them, take notes, and then just start with one thing, and then another, and then another. If I were going to start with one thing, I would start, first of all, working on my mindset, and then also creating a plan. All right, before you go, please click the link above that we have specifically chosen for you on the best training for you to watch after this. I'm Annette Bau, founder of MillionaireSeries.com and the Millionaire Insider. All international copyrights are reserved. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.